Doing live on radio,
Got my Eugene Levy eyebrows going.
Go live.
How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm good. Good morning to you. Nothing like a little dead. Nothing like a little dead.
I didn't know what you were doing. Your fingers all over places they're not supposed to be.
Don't be a mic.
Mike.
Do this. Mike. What's the weather? Folks, it's steamy in Victoria. I'd call it about 80 degrees, heading to a high today of probably 95-ish. I just made up the temperature, but I'm pretty much right on. So be aware that it's hot out there. Stay indoors if you can. Try to avoid the bad temperatures.
Drink water.
The great folks at Deerland Feed want you to know that they have chemicals and fertilizers and feed and seeds that react to all types of weather. They can help you if you'll go down to Deerland Feed. Awesome. They're great.
Get there today.
So what do you make of this deal? Well, no. Let's just go back for a minute. We just, those of you that are up early, we appreciate you. And if you listen on Magic 95.9, which you should, you can hear Bill Posey and Leandro De La Garza talk about all types of things. And Posey has a unique perspective because he's a Navy SEAL. He's very much a patriot. And it does bother me when people who are well-meaning, who by most accounts would be deemed intelligent, call in and say they talk about the insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. They talk about the Trump supporters who tried to overthrow the government. I'm sorry. That's just wrong. Were there trespassers? Yes. More officers have committed suicide than were even injured that day. Makes you wonder what they were going to say. Makes you wonder who they were going to talk to that led to their suicide. And yet, there are people out there who believe that anybody that voted for Donald Trump is complicit in this trespass, which is what it was, some vandalism. Nowhere near what's being done still in Portland,
they don't
Seattle.
want to forgive the trespasses against us.
As though they have done to others. Yeah, those folks in Portland, one lady called in completely clueless about life and said, well, those people were fighting for their rights. Is that what they were doing when they vandalized the police department and
tried
stormed
to take
the federal
building, courthouse? Yeah.
Defecated in public and spray painted everything
and destroyed other people's lifelong dreams and businesses.
Made their businesses. They were
their rights don't matter.
No,
but the idiots' rights who riot trump all. Right.
See, my deal would be with those people in Portland and Seattle. It's Portland, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Seattle's not
literally
as bad.
Literally, so you know. I would go in there and I would say, if you're literate, read this. And if someone's not, tell them in 36 hours, if you're still here, we're going to spray tear gas in levels adequate to get you out in the streets. And we're going to shoot you and haul you off to the dump. That's what we're going to do. We're going to reclaim this part of our city so that people that work here can go back to work. If you don't like that, if you don't want that, just evacuate this area. Nobody wants to hurt you. We've played enough of your stupid games. Now, take that to the Capitol. I would have had zero problem if you're trying to break into our nation's capital and the Capitol Police decide to shoot you to defend their position. I think you've got that coming.
Like
they had barricades there,
right?
Yeah. She was shot by apparently a security guard with her own weapon, I think.
Crawling through a window.
Had it coming.
Not to get back.
She had it coming. Do I feel bad for her? Yeah. Was she dumb? Yeah. Did play stupid games, win stupid prizes. But for somebody to call in and try to turn one idiot woman's actions into, it was an overthrow of our democracy. That ain't got nothing to do with what Joe Biden's done to overthrow our democracy. And Mike Gomez calls, I guess Mike's afraid that if he calls, he'll lend some credibility to us, as if we don't already have a ton more credibility than Mike and the Victoria Advocate. It's just a clown show. And now Mike has become the poster child of why I no longer read the Advocate, because it's just dumb. It's dumb. And Bill Posey coddles that and wants to bring him in. Let's bring him in and let Mike have a voice. I think our job is to keep stupid off the radio.
I'm okay with alternate points of view.
Well, not if you're just stupid, right? I mean, if you and I disagree,
nobody likes an echo chamber.
If you and I disagree, then you're just dumb, and I don't want you here. 5 years of disagreeing, we get along.
I'm rubber, you're glue.
Don't we get along fine? We've been disagreeing for 5 years. Judge Posey, good morning, sir. Marina Shear, Scott Tomko, David Glass.
Marvin Mickers, good morning. Bobcat Watley's in. Clint Ives, Justin Glass, Andy Rhea Jr., Diane Tippett, Ricky King, good morning. Richard Champagne King.
Ricky Champagne
That's
King.
Richard. He went
Richard Champagne King. Okay, he went all in.
HR, good morning. Jeff Finley's in. Amanda Smith King. Bobby Leister says the Leisterometer is down 1. Simpy's in early. Glad you're up, Simpy.
Mike
Surprised you're up so early. Must be the little one.
And Mike listens. He just doesn't have the cojones to call.
Christina Wise, good morning. Steve Kidder, Kendra Douglas, Mike Blosky checking in.
Great group. Everybody be safe on your way to school. VISD's back in session.
Patrick Strauss, Rena Scherer likes our look this morning, says we're looking sharp.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to work today.
Johnny Houghton checking in. Good morning, Johnny. He just took his son to college. He's a college rodeo athlete in Montana now.
Good morning. Oh, there's Mike Blosky. Good morning, sir.
Iceman's in. Diana Haas. Good morning. James Kurth. Tracy Price. Tom Price. No relation.
Tracy, thank you for this morning and probably tomorrow morning. She picked up Rylan. We play delinquent shuffle every morning to get kids, T-Lats on their way back to work. T-Lat, be safe.
Did I miss something from Steve Kidder that everybody's responded to?
I don't know. Well, Steve Kidder probably has his own private line going. What are they saying to Steve?
I don't know. See if somebody responded to.
What did they say?
I don't know.
I mean, what did they say to Steve?
I don't know. It's not making any sense.
Well, that sums up the show.
You mean the former CIA director? That's the question they asked him. So
I don't know.
Sibby doesn't read the Victoria Advocate either.
No, nobody reads that.
Terry Murray, good morning.
It's a joke.
Lisa Poole, Jason Brannon, Marty Stockbauer's in, Robert Brown Jr., Pat McDonald, good morning.
Hi, Marty
Stockbauer. Granbury.
Hello, Pat McDonald. We're big in
Tori Bales.
Granbury, no D. No D in
Grand. I didn't say grand.
Right. Good morning, TB.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us, checking in this morning. So
great group.
Stuart Martin, where do we want to begin? Do we want to begin with the Dallas PD released the body cam footage, and it was spun as a vindication from looking at some DFW coverage. Even the TV stations have problems with proofreading and editors.
So did they?
They called it a field sobriety test in their story. In one story in one story I read. So, and they were saying this video vindicated
the
PD and the claims from Alan West. And I'll walk you through it if you hadn't seen it. At the start of the video, and I can't tell if the police lights are on at this point when the dash cam comes on, but Mrs. West is in the shoulder. Or she moves into the shoulder at some point. Then she stops at a light behind a 18-wheeler, and the police car is right behind her, and she stays right there stopped. Police officer has to get out of the car, and I'm assuming, because there's no audio, instructs her where to pull over. So
she did stop in the middle of the road.
Yeah, which to me that's a little weird, but the other thing that I thought was interesting, nobody in Dallas was pulling over for the police officer with the lights on. So people in Dallas clearly don't know how to drive when there is a emergency vehicle behind them. And I would say Mrs. West didn't know what to do when an emergency vehicle was right behind her trying to apparently pull her over.
I would agree, because you could see the lights flashing on the back of her car.
Yeah.
and yet she wasn't, immediately pulling over. The officer did say very politely, pull around the corner and stop.
Yeah, and she was in the middle lane, which was weird.
Yeah, very
so
weird.
Then she pulls over, and
which might make you think she was intoxicated. If you were an officer, you might go, "Whoa, this person was on the shoulder. Now she stopped in the middle of the street." I think she was scared, but go ahead.
So, a little strange. Then you start seeing the field sobriety test, and the first part of the test is the pen one. Follow my pen, don't move your head, don't move your head. The officer a couple of times tells her to stop moving her head, and I didn't see the head move.
I never did either. I thought she handled that well.
But the other part of the problem is when you're looking at the camera and she moves the pen to the left, the camera goes with. You can't see her eyes or her head.
It's like the DWI Olympics. Level of difficulty, only a 3, but I give her a 9.5 for completing that test.
Yeah. So, and then let's back it up a second. When that camera starts rolling, when the footage begins that they released, we see another officer had pulled up behind the police car in an SUV, and he goes and stands by Mrs. West's SUV.
She says, "There's an infant in the car. Could you stand there and keep an eye on the infant?" For the next 19 minutes, the man never
looks at the car, never
looks
opens the door, nothing. No, you can hear the car going still because you can hear the fan turning on and off. So I'm assuming, that's to keep the AC going. But I didn't see the officer look into the car once. He was watching what was going on. And I'm not going to walk through the whole steps with you. I had to listen to it, and I had the benefit of rewinding it 3 times to understand the instructions from the officer to go through the walk the imaginary line. I have a problem with the imaginary line to begin with because I can't draw a straight line if I don't have a line to follow, and even then I'm in trouble.
Right.
If soccer officials can put down the shaving cream foam, why is that too hard for maybe a police officer? Here's the line you need to walk.
I have no problem with that. It's the secondary instructions, and HR can deal with this, but they don't want to tell you all their secrets.
No,
they'll say,
I'm not asking for that.
But steps, and I want you to count 1,001. Yeah, we count each step out loud. Then I want you to keep your lead foot in front and make a series of small steps to turn around in place.
So basically,
and she's reading it. She's a new officer, and she's reading it. And finally, Mrs. West, to me, another sign that she's not intoxicated, she finally expressed a little frustration. Like, what else do you want me to do? I mean, I've done all your dances. Yeah, I challenge you right now to stand up, stand with your feet together, your hands at your side, and you're allowed to extend your arms. Now I want you to raise your right foot 6 inches off the floor, but parallel to the floor, and hold it there for a count of 10. Well, good luck. So I thought she handled that fairly well. Dark, this is a grandmother in the dark.
On a street with cars passing by.
Right.
It wasn't a busy highway, but it was a busy street.
Scared, worried about her grandson. I don't know. We'll see what
I don't know.
Toxic test.
Did any of that to me indicate that she was drunk? And again, the part, and again, when she's kind of swerved into the shoulder, okay, maybe you got an issue here. Or maybe she was busy looking in the back because the kid did something. I don't know. Grandma, new kid in the back.
Yeah, okay, so here's where I think
instructions could be better, but if you have no clue what officers are looking for, your thoughts are irrelevant.
Fair enough. And I think that
but I'm a layperson. The instructions to me weren't very clear.
I think the whole test is designed to give an officer who believes he has probable cause every reason to take you downtown. And by the way, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think our officers ought to keep drunk drivers off the streets.
Absolutely.
And if you can't do the dance or you can't follow the instructions, well, let's just go downtown and talk about it in a nice, calm environment. It's not even necessarily an accusation as much as it is a form of your safety. But I would have gotten in the car and ridden with Mrs. West. I would not have said, whoa, hey, let me drive.
I don't know. The way she was driving, I'm not sure I would have, based on her driving ability and nothing else at that point.
Legit. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Wade and Carter. How can we help? Well, yeah. Yeah, why not make her blow that first, right?
And her instructions on how to blow into that thing were a little weird. Cheryl says she's been instructed that when she was in nursing school, how to instruct people to blow in a breathalyzer. Well, blow it like you're blowing up a balloon. And Mrs. West, I mean, she struggled, and I don't know whether I don't know.
And it wasn't like the struggle of somebody who said, "Hey, you can beat this test." She was concerned. Adam, have you seen that video where the cowboy gets pulled over on the side of the road? And the female officer says, "Well, do this move right here." You know that one. That guy goes, "Well, wait, what about this?" He goes, kickball change, and back, and a backflip.
Staged.
And the guy, "Oh, of course."
Yeah.
Yeah, and the lady goes, "Wow, that's great. I mean, have you always been able to dance like that?" He goes, "Nah, only when I'm loaded." She cuffs. All right, she cuffs him. Well, that's a legit question. Why not blow in the breathalyzer first? If you fail that, what else matters?
Yeah.
If you're going to make her blow, then let her do it. Don't with the I guess.
Or do you have to get to probable cause to blow?
I thought you had to have probable cause to pull her over.
Well, for the no signal, could have cited her for that.
Well, she did drive on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I've done. Sometimes dogs
pick a lane. I'm not making excuses. Watching the video, to me, points out, again, that Alan West, I think, jumped off the cliff of conclusions and overreacted to the situation and threw police officers under the bus without knowing everything, because he was complaining that it was a blinker failing to use a turn signal. At some point, she's in the shoulder. The evidence clearly dictates that. There's no getting around that. That's more than not using your blinker.
And just to bring it back to the Wade and Carter program, Ash and I think, I mean, I haven't asked him specifically, but I think we're both fairly big fans, proponents of Alan West. And I look at it and say, there's two ways to look at this. Number one, Alan West is fiercely loyal, fiercely defensive of those that he cares about, and I think those attributes would play well for the state of Texas. At the same time, a detractor could say hot-headed, impulsive, maybe overreacted, and if that's the case, is that good for politics? I don't know. Me personally, either way, I like his action better than I like Governor Abbott, but that doesn't mean that I don't find a way to spin this that what he did was in his best interest on the campaign trail. I don't think he should have reacted this way with the vehement denunciations of the Dallas
and
Police
some
Department.
entitlement, demanding apologies by the end of business today.
Yeah, it's a little bit aggressive.
It's aggressive and it's over the top.
It's emotion. It's fiery. It's militaristic. I mean, the man's a long-time combat veteran. I mean, he
doesn't give him any right to any more privileges or expectations than anybody else.
Legit.
Looking at that video, and again, I could not see where the video started. I don't believe it showed that she did not turn her blinker on. I couldn't tell. The video was a little bit grainy.
Sure.
But when she went into the shoulder, if I'm the officer, I'm a little bit concerned at that point.
Hey, ma'am, are you okay? Can I help you? Yeah. Sheree Rochette says, "Hey, Brent, how would you react if it was Dawn?" You know what? You're probably right. I would probably lash out too. Although I can't imagine calling Chief Arredondo and demanding an apology. I have no doubt that I would defend Dawn. If I went to Dawn and said, "Were you drinking?" and she said, "No, I had water and lemon," I have no doubt that here, giving our format, I would probably make a video and say, "Hey, this is wrong. My wife was, pulled over and it makes me hot. Don't they have something better to do?" And guess what? I'd probably be wrong, and I'm not running for governor. I'm sometimes part of our allure is the impulsiveness, is the get in your face quality that we bring to the show. You don't necessarily want that quality in a governor.
Amy Monday says, I can see why the officer pulled her over. I have to say I'm more disappointed at how Colonel West portrayed police on social media, risked an officer by posting badge and name. Yeah, I didn't agree with that either.
I agree with you, Amy.
And the horrible comments under his social media posts about police officers who risk their lives every day for us. He should have handled it differently.
I agree with that 100%. And I think that's something that you can count on us to address with Colonel West, to say, you know, you're a logical guy. You're a chain of command guy. I mean, you were the chain of command. How do you feel? Do you feel like I know you handled it emotionally and you handled it in a personal manner. Did you handle it right? And we'll see what he says. And knowing Colonel West, I wouldn't be surprised at all, as he said, heat of the moment, man. I mean, my family, my grandson, I felt like my grandson was at risk. And, you know, I overreacted. I would not be surprised.
Was his grandson endangered as he claimed?
No.
Was the other officer in the 20 minutes, again, and I watched it 3 times. And I never noticed the officer step towards the vehicle that the grandson was in to look to see if the grandson was even breathing.
Right, and that's a true story. Adam Sugar says, was it a political move to bring black voters to vote for him? To me, the answer is no, because the officer was black. I mean, had the officer been white, Mrs. West, could you step to the back of the vehicle? You know, if it would have been that guy, Cracker Joe, as the officer, maybe so. Hard to bring black voters in when a black female officer
pulls over a black female driver.
Right, hard to do.
And at the time, didn't know. From behind with tinted windows, the officer had no clue.
No, she wasn't
driving the vehicle.
Now you got to wonder
when they ran the plates.
Yeah, you got to wonder if they knew who they were, you know, putting on camera, and did that play into it. And Sheree says that Alan West does not play the race card, and I would agree with that 100% in my experience with him.
There was some personal frustration here with this, obviously from his point of view. My point is, that video was hard to decide, because 3 times you heard the officer say, don't move your head, just follow with your eyes. And I did not see the head move at all, but then again, when the pen went this way, you couldn't see it because the camera was completely looking at nothing relevant to the traffic stop, except for the pen.
Yep, I agree.
So
I never saw her head move. She wasn't. It's not like she was going, I'm following the pen.
Yeah, no.
She wasn't doing
Did she have problems following instructions later? Absolutely.
I would have too. I was listening to the tape and going, how many steps did they say to take? I'm not standing on the side of a busy highway with police lights in my face.
Stuart Martin says possibly a training officer standing by the grandson, focusing on the actions of the officer with Mrs. West. That's what it appeared
That's
to
what
me.
I agree, Stuart.
I agree. That appeared to be the case. But at some point, when Mrs. West was having troubles understanding some of the instructions, isn't that where you step in and
right.
try to explain it better? Obviously, I don't know. I'm just trying to.
Is the goal of the police in this situation to exonerate the person? She said, I'm going to show you, I'm going to demonstrate this move for you. Is the goal of the officer to exonerate or to justify taking her downtown? I felt like the goal all along was to take her downtown from the beginning. Quit moving your head. Follow I felt like they were going to, of course, I mean, I knew the outcome, but I felt
they had an outcome predetermined.
I believe that she was going downtown from the minute they pulled her over.
Didn't matter who she was.
I agree. Yes, that's what I think. That lady in that car was going downtown.
Adam Sugar says his conclusions after reviewing everything is you're drunk.
Right. Why do I got to be drunk? It's just like little Tito's.
I'll disagree. Michelle Hawkins says the video is ridiculous. I don't think it was ridiculous. I don't believe I don't believe it did what the Dallas PD in releasing it was hoping it would do, and that was vindicate the officer, because I think, and again, I don't know, but when I'm not in that situation and I have troubles following the instructions that she's asking Mrs. West, and yeah, there were some audio issues. It wasn't exactly clear. But I don't think I don't think the video helped either side in this case.
Legit point by Michelle. She comes back, she rallies with a solid point. They were waiting for her to fall or fail. That was the longest video. No way I could stand on one foot for that long. I agree 100%.
And Cheryl pointed out something when watching this, that at some point they stopped the audio because she said that Mrs. West was saying, I have a medical condition where when they try to get her to do the balance test,
Well,
right?
that's HIPAA.
And then, it is. So
they didn't want to violate
they didn't want
rights.
to violate HIPAA. So that was Wendell Geigel says the pen test cannot be performed with the second officer's lights flashing and her back to an active road with cars distracting her.
Sounds like Wendell's got some empathy/sympathy. Maybe there's a voice of experience there.
Patrick Strauss says I'm used to audio issues.
Right, but I would point out that you mentioned Wendell Geigel without tossing in World's Greatest Neighbor. And I want to give a shout out to Tom Ennis this morning, make sure he's doing well.
Daniel White, good morning.
But this is a great time to tell you, October 8th on the Lido deck over at Club Westerner is the Wade and Carter 5th anniversary celebration party. Great band, Rewind, coming in from the Valley. They're phenomenal. You're going to love them. Club Westerner is going to be great. You can BYOB, and Uber will come right there and pick you up. No reason for you to drink and drive. October 8th is a Friday night. We want you there. Tickets will be $10 to defray cost. We paid big money for this band.
Morning, Mom.
Hi, Tina. Hope you're doing good. Folks, Allen's Wrecker Service. When you decide,
6300.
they asked Mrs. West, is there someone who can come get the baby? Allen West. I mean, not Alan West, Alan Miller. Right. 578-6300. Folks, this stuff writes itself. The VCS Company's Rocky Oilfield Services and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer. All right there on Kurt Boulevard, just inside the loop off Main Street. The Hartmans can help you. Take it.
Hartmans can help you with all your communication needs, from accessories, chargers, to brand new phones, iPads, tablets, all the way up. They can handle anything.
Two-way radios.
Exactly. In inter-house, inter-office communications, ranch radios, they've got it all. They
Intercourse communications.
Sure.
Breaker 19. Come here, honey. The
We're on a
Hartmans.
great big convoy. Oops.
Negatory there, Pigpen. And folks, Veracruz is open today. Come on back to Teddy Bear. And there's 100 truckers lined up around.
I don't know what's worse, the fact that we know all these C.W. McCall songs and Red Sovine songs, or
that our audience doesn't. Like, nobody's hitting the laugh button. Like, they're not getting it.
But they all sound a little bit.
We live for the laugh button. Folks, Veracruz on a Tuesday is the day before Coldo Wednesday, and they're on top of their game on a Tuesday. The rust has been knocked off the pots on Monday, and you're right back in there eating great. Today would be a great day for a drowning enchilada. I'm going to have a taco salad. Thank you for the laugh.
It would be a great day.
It would be if Dawn.
No, they're laughing at you saying you're going to have a taco salad. They know better.
Right, and then go to the kitchen and make a fajita taco.
Chesnick Furniture Company, 116 West Warren Lynn.
Corner lot, One Linden Bridge for 71 years.
In downtown Victoria, providing Victoria with all its furniture needs, every room in the house, all your accoutrements.
For over 100 years, 101 years. Get after it. Get down there and let Bobby Leon and his family show you why you just do better at Chesnick.
Final thought on the Allen West, Wendell Geigel, and he's got some perspective. He says her BMI and age would disqualify for the leg hold test. If the officer's on a DUI task force, she should know this and not have to read from notes. My understanding is she was new at it.
Yeah. Rookie officer, new to the task force, and no fault of the, and you know,
I'm not faulting the officer either. Again, the start of that video, you're in the shoulder, half in, half out. Yeah, you're probably, I'm pulling you over too.
Yeah.
And you deserve to be pulled over.
Justin Srotowski says VCS has all my CB usage covered. You know,
I bet you they have a CB radio if you needed one.
Well, I got to get off the phone now. Mama says I shouldn't bother you guys. Come on back and talk to Teddy Bear. Don Posey's like changing the dial right now. Like, I don't want to listen to Teddy Bear. They're from the 60s.
70s.
Was it 70s?
Yeah, I think 70s.
Huh?
That was at mid 70s.
And what did James Kurtz say?
What did James Kurtz say? We don't see a bunch of Republicans beating down the door of DPD threatening to burn it down. Thank goodness this ain't Portland. Remember all those bad nights at APD?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's the hypocrisy of the left is their biggest tell. I agree. I mean, the Republicans go, well, how about that? The Republicans are saying, Alan West might have messed up here. The Democrats would be saying, they targeted her because she's a black woman. That's what they would say.
Well, but they won't because she's Republican.
Right.
They won't jump.
So she has white privilege, even though she happens to be black.
She was driving a white Mercedes.
Well, there you go. There's a certain wealth point where you're no longer black. Okay, unless you're Beyonce. Then you're
Democrats, yeah. So, and the breathalyzer was inconclusive, according to one of the reports I read. So we're going to wait on the blood alcohol analysis, and we'll see what happens. But all in all, you and I do agree.
On most things.
Probably not the best way to handle this.
Yeah,
by Alan West. I can understand the outrage and questioning whether there was a legitimate reason, because that's what everybody does in these things, right? But right off the bat, when he was mad that she got pulled over for a blinker, I questioned the same thing. Unless you're cutting somebody off, whatever, right? 8:00 at night, maybe. But when I saw the vehicle in the shoulder, that's when I went, well, there's some issues. And that's when the
officer pulled over there. Yeah, it was on the shoulder. I think if it was you and me candidly visiting with the colonel, he would say, what would you do, guys? What would you do? Your wife gets attacked. You feel like I'm fiercely defensive of my wife. What would you do? And I'm not there. I'm gone a lot. I feel terrible. I wasn't there to help. I mean, you have an appreciation for the man's passion level just by being around him. When he talks, it's infectious.
You would believe the truth.
Yeah. And
your wife. And if you believe in the process and that the truth will prevail.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's what we've been taught. That's what we're told. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can't burn it all down just because you're now the one having to go through the process. So if you believe these things, that our justice system and the truth will prevail, you have to let it play out. You have to.
Right. Sheree points out, look, we all know that every cop isn't perfect. Cops make mistakes, and there are bad cops out there because there are bad people in everything. That doesn't make our police as a whole bad. I'll go a step further and say I don't have any problem with the Dallas officer that pulled Mrs. West over. Was she inexperienced? Yes. Did she call for backup? Yes. Was somebody there in case things went awry? Not to protect her. I think that other officer was there to protect Mrs. West. I have no slanderous outburst at Dallas Police Department over this at all. It would have been better had it been a more seasoned officer who maybe could have handled the whole scene
better
and quicker. I agree. Trying to make a grandmother stand on one foot on a slope street at night with police lights in her face and traffic going by, and you're embarrassed and you're scared. And you're keenly aware that you're Alan West's wife and you're being videoed. I mean, these things would play into it, right? I mean, it would make me nervous, I think. But I don't have any problem with DPD over this. I'm not calling bad cop. I'm calling inexperienced officer. I'm calling new officer. And they got to get experience somewhere.
Peter McNally asking, is this issue getting a lot of coverage in Dallas? Well, if the Dallas police chief thinks he has to release the dash cam video from a routine traffic stop DWI, then yeah, I would say so. And judging by the headlines that I saw yesterday, yes, it is. All the TV stations, the newspaper, it's being covered predominantly in Dallas, and I think it's fair because this is somebody running for governor.
And Richard King makes a legit point, and thank you, Ricky. This would be a good place to wrap it up. It is really hard to put yourself in the situation that Alan West was in and judge him for what he did. Yeah, the most dangerous thing on the planet is an emotional person with a forum. When you've got the opportunity to say something and people listen when you say it, I'm sure there were probably lots of people saying, what's Alan saying about this? What's what's Lieutenant Colonel West got to say about this? I made the comment the other day that I thought maybe his handlers ill-advised him, and the comment came back to me, I'm not sure he has any handlers. I think he does his own thing. So here's the next question. Would you still vote for him? I would. This is not disqualifying his campaign to me.
No, so far I like his campaign message and what he's trying to do to change Texas.
Yeah. There you have it.
Atzenoffer, there you have it. And Atzenoffer.com. Since 1926, Atzenoffer's been selling these Chevrolets. Over the years, they've added Mazda, Mitsubishi, Cadillac to the stable of great new vehicles that you can choose from. Plus, normally, a large selection of pre-owned vehicles. It's somewhat limited these days because of availability and demand. Everybody's driving trucks right now. But if they don't have what you want a lot, they'll also go look for it for you as well. They are a full-service dealer. They will satisfy all your sales needs and your service needs. Body shop, they can do it all. Atzenoffer and Atzenoffer.com.
That was well done.
Thank you.
That was good. In general, when we do these spots, you don't want to have to work in, but I digress. It should all just be, anyway.
But you do right now.
You do a great job at this. White Trash Services, folks, 550-1826. Reach out to BJ Nelson and her team. And I could say Scott Nelson and his team, but everybody knows BJ, and Scott likes it that way. Good morning, Mother.
Morning, Mom.
If you need a roll-off dumpster for a big project in town, if you need White Trash Site Services to come out and demolish that old barn,
clean it up,
and haul it off, they can do that. If you need trash service on the weekly in the 7-county contiguous area to Victoria County, they're here for you. White Trash Services constantly giving back to our community. I have no doubt that the Nelsons will host a table on the Lido deck at Club Westerner on October 8th. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull, will also have his table. You can visit with JP about analytics.
You don't want to do that there. He probably would, but he's there for a good time. Don't want to mix business and pleasure.
You can talk to JP about fun stuff, but during the week, you can talk to JP about your computers, your analytics, your data, encryption, collecting money over the internet.
How to protect all the back end of stuff.
Letting your website interact with your QuickBooks so that all your accounting is seamless. It's what he does. He can do it. Law offices of Steve Kidder. More and more on this show, Steve Kidder's insight comes into play as we talk about the day's events. Stephen's always free with his advice. He can work for you and your family. If you need to create a trust, a will, probate a will.
Need legal representation in court.
Adopt a baby, or you want to stay out of court. If you want to stay out of court, get with a good lawyer who can keep you out of the courthouse. And then, of course, the complete family of healthy options. Right over here at the health bar.
Patrick Strauss says that the ham and pear panini is his go-to as well.
Yeah, and you just had one the other day. We usually get the adobo, the homeless turkey, the adobo turkey.
Turkey's not homeless. It has a home in my belly.
Right, in my belly. How much for the little guy? Get over there and let the go Tigers. It's a little known fact that guy went on to coach football. But get over there to the health bar and let them make you have a great day.
And if you want to clean up your ride, AJ's Detailing on Main Street is the place to go.
Yeah, go to AJ's Detailing
page on Facebook. Yeah, you'll see the before and afters. Phenomenal work that he does, and that'll sell it more than any way I can describe it. In this case, pictures do say 1,000 words, because the before is usually nasty, dirty, and the after is pristine and clean.
Zach Smith comes in with another totally unrelated and irrelevant comment. Great day to be Victorian. Go USA.
Great day to be Victorian.
Well, it is, but it just shows that he's not really listening to the show.
So interesting how the narrative is getting changed with former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Is he out now?
He's out. Yesterday was his last day. He stepped aside, but some of the headlines I read: resigning in the wake of the sexual misconduct allegations and for mishandling the COVID crisis. See how they're now starting to weave that into this? This had nothing to do with COVID, folks. He wrote a book about what a great leader he was, and the left went and trumpeted his leadership skills, even though we all know what a debacle his handling of COVID was, and he ordered old, sick people back into nursing homes to infect and kill other old people who weren't sick. But they're trying to soften the allegations against him, and the media is helping do this. They're complicit, because if it was truly about the way he mishandled COVID, he'd have been gone 14, 15 months ago, not right. 20 months later after the pandemic. If this was about COVID, he'd have been gone already. They're trying to soften it and find more reasons as to why. There'll be others. Watch. Former Governor Cuomo, who left amidst, and then these won't even be the top two. It'll become, against some behavioral improprieties and some bad decisions through COVID. That's how.
But he's getting some help, and we're looking towards healing, and we're going to give him a pass. He's out of politics. You people got what you want. You Trumpers got what you wanted. Never mind that every woman must be heard. Never mind that every woman is telling the truth until she's proven not to. Every man is guilty until proven innocent, unless you're a Democrat. Then Joe Biden just made it go away. Remember the lady talked about all types of sexual misconduct with then Senator Biden, and no, not Joe. Look at him. He's a vegetable. I don't know. It's a mess.
Yeah. He resigned this morning, and former Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul was, I think I pronounced that right, was sworn in at 12:01 this morning.
How do you spell it? H-O-E-S-C-H-U-L?
H-O-C-H-U-L.
Hochul. Yeah. That'll work. I think I hear greatness. There it is. Greatness is amongst us.
So,
Zach Smith asks, what is the UHV building there in the corner?
It's a parking lot, Zach. That'll be a parking lot. And anybody who was on campus yesterday knows that there were some issues finding parking.
Is that right?
Yeah. Did he give the peace signs before getting on the helicopter? Asked James Kurth. I don't know.
You won't have Andrew to kick around anymore. Did they do? I mean, are they going up like 6 stories with that garage? I mean,
that's not a garage, just a lot, surface lot.
So if we end up with 6,000 students,
you're going to have to build some.
There's a master plan, I know.
Yeah, they're working on that. Yeah.
Because parking, I want to say.
Parking's always at a premium on college campuses. Every college I've ever been to.
I want to say when you build a parking garage, I believe each spot costs $10,000.
No, I think it's more than that.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Parking is expensive. Yeah.
UHV.
Even gravel lots, because of everything that can cost, and you don't want those anyway because of trip and fall issues and such. But yeah, parking lots are expensive. So
UHV, a pedestrian campus. Come here and walk to school.
Johnny Houghton just posted a video where our Secretary of Defense got stumped by reporters yesterday. Yeah, I saw this last night, and it was absolutely mind-blowing how he had no clue of the answers. And Jen Psaki yesterday was sitting there. We haven't abandoned Americans. You got 10,000 of them. You have no clue how they're getting out of the country. You're not even going to the airport in Kabul anymore. Dan Bongino made a good point. We had Bagram Air Force Base. This was a very secure base at a very secure location that was a hop, skip, and a jump from Kabul that we could have at least evacuated people and Americans over there, and there would have been no problems maintaining the security in Bagram. And I'm trusting his word here. But no, what do we do? The first thing we give up is the most secure air base in the country is we leave. And instead of making sure the civilians are the first ones out, and Jen Psaki kept saying yesterday, well, those that want to leave, I'm not sure there's a bunch that want to stay behind in Afghanistan. Except maybe for some mercenaries, those hell-bent on killing a few Taliban on their way off this planet.
Another good question, Zach Smith says, one more question. What will the plan to close Ben Wilson ever come to light? What's the holdup, or has it been abandoned?
You know what, Zach? Ask somebody who's involved in those discussions.
You know, they probably should have taken Ben Wilson all the way to Sam Houston, because then that whole corridor would tie into the aquatic center and the auditorium that are down there.
Just takes money, though.
I think the mothership in Houston could have kicked in and made that happen. That would have been nice. All you've got on the left side, all you have is one entrance into College Estates, or whatever you call that area there. And then on the right side, y'all own half that anyway, or more than half. Like where your office is, was. Y'all own that, or you tenants? You own it?
One building, tenants in another, I think.
Yeah.
Commissioner Brissett asked, what the heck are we going to do with all those refugees? That's what I want to know. How many people can America actually take before we become overpopulated?
Oh, here's no problem. We got a Dunkin' Donuts, a Taco Bueno, we got a McAllister's, we got the fat ass food court alone will put 25 of them to work.
Daniel White says we can't figure out whether to build the clock tower out of marble or gold. That is the holdup.
Right. No kidding.
Maybe both. Let's just solve it right now. Both marble.
Speaking of that, if you want to build your own clock tower out of gold, then all you have to do is do a cash out refi through
Model Mortgage.
Terry Murray, 541-5454.
Terry will work you through it. She'll keep you on task.
She will lower your payment.
She will do that, and your rate.
Guess what?
And maybe your term.
Here's what I don't understand. If you haven't called her, the consultation costs you nothing. The transaction costs you nothing unless it saves you money. And if it saves you money, what do you care if she makes a point doing it? If she drops your mortgage $500 a month, what do you care if she makes a couple of grand off the deal? Shouldn't matter. Call Terry Murray, 541-5454. Wind services, generators, solar panels.
Plumbing, electrical.
They do it all. New, remodeled, construction of residential, commercial. They do it all. Reach out to Wind Services. You have an emergency plumbing situation, call Wind Services. And USA concrete coatings. I was thinking foundation repair. They do both. But if you need a concrete coating, if you need a coating of polyurethane on your garage floor, patio, pool deck, they do all of that. They'll come out, seal the cracks, prepare the surface, and typically in one day, knock it down. And it'll look great. Cowboys color. I wouldn't do Cowboys colors.
I wouldn't do Texans colors.
Just red, white, and blue. Just go American. Go Texan. Put a Texas flag on your garage floor. There you go.
James Kurthas, how's the plans going to build the UHV sports complex by the airport? Just need a few $1 million, James. So that's the holdup right now. Other than that, I mean, we got a concept. We just need a few $1 million.
A few.
So if anybody's out there that has a few lying around, let me know. Maybe some Bitcoin.
I'm telling you.
FDA gives approval to the Pfizer vaccine, the Pfizer COVID vaccine.
And you said you feel good with that. You feel good with the FDA, like they're incorruptible?
Yeah, I think they're fine. They nobody questions their approval process for any other drugs and medications, right?
Yeah.
Does this still absolve Pfizer from any recourse down the road if we find out there are some issues?
Side effects could include heart palpitations, mouth sores, ulcers, dental problems,
erections that last more than 6 hours,
and rectal bleeding. Other than that, no problems. It's basically trouble free.
I find it interesting though, the Moderna vaccine. Not even in so far, I haven't seen any discussions about its potential approval.
Now, is Moderna, is that an American company?
No, I don't think so.
There you go. They don't care. It's a low bidder vaccine. We don't need no stinking approval.
James Kurthas will take a post-dated check for the facilities.
We didn't approve the FDA. The FDA approved us. Right? Brother Gary, I see Brother Gary laughs. It's timely humor because he gets it.
I don't like the guilt though trip that's coming out of the White House for this. Well, if you were waiting for the FDA approval, now you got it. Go get it now.
He did say that. Yeah. Now, get it today, people. Joe Biden is so condescending, and he's the guy that's got no brain cells left. And yet the left just fawns over him. He's not Trump. He's not Trump. That's what makes him their guy.
Yeah.
Trump will be back in 24. You hide and watch. With 90 million votes. It's going to be bigger, super duper election. We're going to beat everybody.
This is the most popular president in the history of the United States based on the vote count last presidential election. And even though the polls will show his approval rating is tanking, and outside of California, Oregon, and a few other, Michigan, and a few other left-leaning states, he doesn't even have a 50. He has a 50 to 60% disapproval rating if you go by states. I mean, I think there's about 8 states that approve of the way he's handling this country.
Agreed.
I don't know. Those numbers just don't add up for me.
Kamala Harris is like in Vietnam or somewhere now, studying exit strategies.
Well, I mean, it makes sense for Kamala because when she went to the border, she went to El Paso. So if you're going to go to the Middle East, and Afghanistan is sort of that Middle East Asia border, you might as well go to Southeast Asia. You're in the neighborhood.
Sure. Just go over there and stop for a while and cackle.
Exactly. And watch. She will go there. And the press in this country will quietly stop watching what's going on in Afghanistan. They're already not reporting the things that are going on. Go to foreign news sources, folks, if you really want to see what's happening in Afghanistan, because you're not going to find out from CNN and others that the Taliban is beating Americans who are trying to get to the airport. They're stealing American passports, making it extremely difficult for Americans to prove who they are to get out of that country. What we need to do is just go back in and just lay waste to all these Taliban roadblocks.
Question for you. Now, when we left Vietnam, we basically turned it over to the communists. Yeah. But are they still communist?
Yes.
But we do a lot of trade with Vietnam, don't we?
Well, they're not communists and as bad as China.
They're shouting death to America, but they seem friendly?
Yes. I don't think so.
Because I think it's interesting that Kamala goes over there, I believe, so that nobody has to see her or hear from her. She can't be exposed for how ignorant she is if she's over there.
Well, and if she's over there, she can't be taken to task for her administration's absolute blunder at what has happened in Afghanistan. If she goes into Afghanistan, she's going to have to answer questions by foreign media and others who are there, and she doesn't want to do that, and they don't want to do that.
And remember that during the election process, she attacked Joe Biden. She was a very verbal detractor about his racist background and basically about his lack of competence. So now, if she ever has any further political aspirations, she doesn't want to come off as a hypocrite by hanging out here and then having to say, well, how do you think Joe's handling things? He's doing a great job.
Bobcat Wally says she might as well go to Europe too so she can get that off her bucket list.
Well, I can't figure out. I just feel better now. Doesn't matter what A.J. Louderback sees every day. Doesn't matter what Michael Cloud saw when he went to the border or what Justin Marr is picking up people by the gross. There's no border problem. Kamala told us that. And as our leader, she must be believed.
Well, the media just simply moved on after that, right? She goes to El Paso and they've stopped.
They did move on. It's like Kamala went to the border. She said there was no problem. Let's move on. Nobody cares.
Nope.
Very interesting.
It is, isn't it?
Tell you what else is interesting. On a Tuesday, a day we thought we had nothing to talk about. This hour flew by with you folks. We appreciate your input.
Astros lose to Kansas City.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. We made it the whole hour.
We have to. And a Monday Night Football game last night that just didn't, other than Trevor Lawrence not looking like the next coming of Peyton Manning, Name a quarterback that everybody wanted him to become.
I just sounded like Archie Bunker.
A little bit.
Edith, you dingbat.
My brother's not sold on Trevor Lawrence. Corky thinks that Trevor Lawrence won't be he's not sold he's even going to be a good NFL quarterback.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, Trevor Lawrence was serious. If he was really serious, he would cut his hair short and show up looking like I'm here. But I think being a hair model is part of his shtick.
Well,
he's got to have the hair.
He's like
I'd call him
like
Sunshine.
Samson, right?
Sunshine from Remember the Titans.
Can't get a deal pushing Pert shampoo if he doesn't have the hair, right?
Right.
But yeah, it wasn't a great display yesterday.
Tom Brady's doing it just for men.
2-yard line, I think.
A touch of gray. Tom Brady's doing a touch of gray while Trevor Lawrence is doing Pert.
Tom Brady's going to be doing Centrum Silver soon too.
What's he got, like 6, 7 Super Bowl rings? Threw the trophy off of a boat, brother Gary.
But I will be honest in my assessment of Trevor Lawrence. Jacksonville needs a whole lot of other pieces for that team, and to even give Trevor Lawrence.
That's why the Cowboys
chance.
should let Rush play quarterback this year.
Let him get hammered.
Cooper, Brother says Cooper.
We'll get out of here. We won't play quarterback anymore.
Stay tuned for the Hall of Famer Ralph Salazar. He's coming in. Look at him. He's on his phone. He's getting data. He looks very excited.